there was this great idea that we could get, like maybe a 2-3 hour sort of mini campaign.
Well, that was the original plan. Not quite what happened, but since we pretty much ended up making a full game.
The game gets more and more ambitious, and then next thing you know, it's not like anything you've worked on before.
We knew that we wanted to keep what was great, that people loved about the Halo experience, that 30 seconds of fun over and over again. We knew we had to preserve that, but at the same time, give it an ODST spin.
We wanted to try something that we'd never done before, and I think that means breaking the mold of what people expect from Halo.
Here's an engine, here's a story, you got a year, go.
One of the great challenges that we had with ODST was, since we didn't want to be traveling all across the universe in this gigantic space opera, we wanted to really focus on one place.
The hub was the single most technical thing that we've ever accomplished in the Halo engine.
There was a lot of work done to try to come up with smart ways that we could build the city. It's definitely the biggest environment that we've made in any Halo game.
We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how can we maximize the space without freaking out all the artists, and I think we figured out how to maximize the space really well. I don't think we ever figured out that second part too well.
We want the player to have this open, visceral, you're in the city experience. We started experimenting with playing with elevation, playing with building shapes.
It's a city that you actually completely walk through. Each BSP is directly alongside the other BSP. You walk through a door and you go into the other BSP. The road structure is not straight, it's diagonal, it's also multi-layered. I don't think we kind of realized how big the city would get.
We basically had to build very specific tech that would give the AI the right type of behavior. We had the technology, we called it squad patrol. No matter where you were inside the hub, there would always be a certain amount of noise, a certain amount of enemy presence there that we could ratchet up and ratchet down depending on what we needed it to do.
We need to have this dark, moody city without making it unplayable.
I wanted to get a feeling of rain at night in an abandoned city. I would still like to score the emotions and mood that we want the player to feel when they're playing the game.
We want people to explore the city. We want people to find this, this kind of hidden little sub-story.
What if the phones rang?
You're alone, you're in the city, you're trying to unravel a mystery. That's the feeling you have every time you're the rookie.
What's fun about being an ODST? How's he different than the Master Chief? What kind of problems does he face versus the Chief?
If they're not the walking tank, they really have to pick up weapons that they're going to use.
There were things that we added. The silenced submachine gun and the silenced pistol are absolutely the best tools for the job. Something the ODSTs have that Spartans actually don't.
Silenced weapons at night, they feel cool, they look awesome, they're really sweet to use.
In real life, silenced weapons don't have a whole lot of sound. So we had to kind of Hollywood them up a little bit, kind of make it so that they sounded like they were silenced and supposed to be silenced, but yet still powerful and fun to fight with.
In a lot of ways it feels like Halo 1, because it's back to single wielding.
Dual wielding. Paul doesn't like dual wielding, so we cut it.
Visor mode is really cool, and it evolved a lot. There were versions that looked really great for the art, but yeah, maybe they didn't do such great things for the design.
It affected how we lit something. We'd make this building and it looked great, and we thought it was fine, and then you turn on the visor mode and you realize that's really just a square.
But it also has the advantage of really showcasing the depth of our scenes. Put on visor mode, and then the whole environment reveals its secrets to you.
You know what sucks about big cities? You can get lost really quick. And that's where we came up with ideas for the Visor database, where you have a great map of the city that not only shows you where you are, but allows you to choose where you want to go.
If you don't have that tool to help you navigate the city. You're never gonna find the high action flashback scenes, which we were banking on to be the core fun of the game. It's a very simple idea. It was an amazing struggle to get there.
When you combine those things that we took away with things that we added, such as the visor, even though you might feel a bit more vulnerable, you have the right tools for the job.
The hardest part moving from Halo 3 to ODST was just the difference in the play styles of the characters.
If you look at the Master Chief in the course of the Halo games, he became ridiculously powerful over time.
And ODST feels very different because when you start taking fire, you can't just continually keep kicking ass. You have to actually look for cover because you don't have a motion tracker like the Chief.
Bringing back the health was something that was born out of a discussion about how can we add long-term level of tension to the game.
For us, health is important in the ODST's world because it reminds you that you're vulnerable.
We want to experience the story through the eyes of many different characters.
We wanted to bring back the guys from Firefly again, Nathan Fillion, Adam Baldwin, and Alan Tudyk, trying to find the perfect film noir blonde. We thought about Tricia Helfer.
Orders are orders.
Come on, Veronica. What could be more important than that carrier?
My orders. And Buck, call me Captain. I'll pass on that dance, but you can show me where to sit.
These little scenes, we wanted to have their own mystery. It was the story of one guy, one object, one high action moment. And for us, the clue objects were the key.
Dutch, we need to get above this crap. Link with the B-net. One of our drones must have seen where they hit.
When you find a clue, you're actually going back in time and playing in the boots from another ODST's perspective.
Good hunting, boys. I'm keeping my boots on the ground.
You've got 5 main characters.
Banshees!
Each of the characters have things to say from first person. Not only ground you in the character, but also give you some really useful tactical information about the battlefield.
It's coming to drop in behind us. They must know this is our rally point. Where the heck did these buggers come from?
Underground tunnels are filled with the damn thing.
We got ammo and weapons on the high ground. Move it, move it.
Without spending a lot of effort personalizing each of those characters, then it wouldn't mean as much when you stepped into their boots.
We need some help. Look out!
Bam, said the lady.
So I hope it's the right balance of new and old, that it doesn't come off like we've screwed the pooch on this one. But I do think they will probably walk away from this honestly wanting more.
Honestly, if we had more time to do ODST, I really don't know what we would do differently. So if I got another 2 weeks, I don't know. I guess I'd play more ODST.
So you're no longer the Master Chief. You're the newest member of a squad of orbital drop shock troopers.
They're the mysterious soldiers with the untold tale.
We talked a lot about how could we still take people out of one character, put them into the body of another character, and not confuse people.
And ODST, I think, takes the lessons of Halo 2 and feels a lot more natural. You're going from one ODST to another. It's not so jarring as it was with the Chief and the Arbiter.
What the hell am I supposed to do with this inside a Covenant ship?
Romeo the smartass, or Mickey the kind of guy who just wants to blow up. Allowing the player to step into the shoes of all of these different characters in the squad makes this a game about what happens to that squad.
It's hard to create not just characters, but then give them a relationship. That's even tougher.
Get this thing off of me.
You've got Buck, who's the squad leader. He's the most hard-boiled, hard-bitten, seen everything, been everywhere, a little bit more cynical than the other soldiers, because he's survived the longest.
No! They're gonna burn this city and then glass the whole planet! Covenant bastard! This is like Reach all over again!
Buck is the guy you want to be. You believe in him because he cares about his squad.
All I care about now is getting my men out of this city.
At the same time, he's distracted by this ex-girlfriend of his.
Dare, she's an ONI operative. She takes over the squad.
Replacements?
This many years into the war, who isn't?
At least they listen.
To me. And they're not gonna like what they hear.
He wants to do his mission right. He wants to save his squad. And this whole time, Dare is there kind of poking him in the ribs.
I never thought I'd see you again.
Yeah? Well,
here I am.
There's something to be said about using Nathan and Trisha, who are, really strong sci-fi actors.
What we bring to the table is a lot of experience. A lot of spacefaring, a lot of changing trajectories, a lot of slip space ruptures. We know.
Veronica definitely has balls.
What was that for?
Abandoning the mission.
What mission?
For me, it was about creating a credible history between the two of them. And by dipping into that history, I think that creates the relationship.
Look, don't start about my job. We both agreed to end it.
That was years ago, Veronica. I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
We talked about what it would be like to suddenly be in the body of some other character who was just in the cinematic you just watched.
Say again, Buck. You're breaking up.
I said stay put. I'm on my way.
And then actually hear his voice coming out of your body.
We missed our LZ. This grid is packed with Covenant. Be careful.
I appreciate the concern.
We call them vignettes, and they're basically the last shot of a flashback cinematic, right before you take control of Dutch or take control of Buck. And it's a shot from first person. You can see your arms, you can see the weapon that you're holding. We use it as a kind of a direction indicator or a mission indicator. The player doesn't have control of the camera yet, and the character is kind of easing him into that and leading him into where he needs to be going and what he needs to be doing.
You really kind of get inside some of these characters, and I think that the vignettes helped so it wasn't quite so jarring.
Mickey, you're with me.
We often talked about the ODST as a kind of detective, lone gumshoe in the dark, mysterious city. Hey, let's drop one man that's not a Spartan on his own into a dangerous environment and let him really solve a mystery, let him find clues.
We wanted to really get a different kind of Halo look and feel from what we've seen before. One of the cool challenges was how do we make the city of New Mombasa, in a way, a character in the game?
Sound was critical in helping us really create that pacing and mood.
We tried to make everything kind of quieter, especially when you were in the hub.
We wanted the hub to be dark and rainy and have that film noir feel. There was a point halfway through the production where the programmer said, we can't implement rain in the engine. Maybe we don't actually have rain falling all over the place, but we have to have the feel of that rain is in the distance.
It's raining in that environment because of the sound guys.
We also switched the surface types on the ground to kind of have that wet, slappy footstep.
As the thing started taking a life of its own, in no way did I want to hear any Halo music reused. It really deserved to have its own flavor from beginning to end.
The score that Marty wrote really lent itself to both that film noir feeling and that feeling of loneliness that you have in the hub.
How do you make a difference musically from the daytime action scenes and always bring you back to the nighttime hub was a little bit of a challenge. The first thing I said is no monks. There just cannot be monks in this thing. I knew I could use a solo saxophone, which has a really nice interaction with orchestral instruments. It's not something you normally hear with an orchestra. And it could really just change the whole color and feeling that sort of carry you through the hub. As the game itself got bigger and bigger, I needed more and more music, which is why I have more gray hair, so that's how that goes.
There are some key elements that you'll find in the city.
What if the phones rang? What if the ticket kiosks began to spit tickets and coins came out of vending machines? What if the city was trying to communicate with you?
What the heck's going on?
Sir, I'm really sorry about this. I was just trying to get out of the city.
The thing that's the most different for me playing this game is the ability to randomly pick up the radio play story, which tells an entirely different story with entirely new characters.
Old Mombasa. Dad, there's a ship.
Listen, sweetheart. I wanted to tell you at breakfast, but you left so early.
So the ringing phone became this jumping off point for what eventually became the superintendent. And then Sadie's story, too.
A car just came out of nowhere, smashed all the brutes. Was that you?
My head. I thought airbags were supposed to stop you from getting hurt.
Your tax dollars at work.
So the superintendent's tale is this really neat evolutionary piece that you follow throughout the whole game.
It's a very simple story when you get down to it, but it's told in an elegant way, in a complex way.
You can understand and enjoy the ODST story if you don't pick up any of the telephones ringing in the city or any of the other objects. But if you do, you're going to be transported a little bit further back in time to the day before, but to a whole different world.
Like a detective, you have to put it all together, and it's the layers that make the story so interesting.
We wanted to make sure that you met the people of that city. You knew the stakes, what you were fighting for.